Hello everyone, this is Jan and I am here to tell you how to make your own DIY soap cutter. That's why you clicked on me. I hope you don't mind my shabby, messy appearance. I was just in a gunfight and I smoked him and it took its toll on my appearance. Anyway, loser over there. Okay, so when I first started making soap, this was my preferred cutting method. Well, my only cutting method. I didn't have anything else to use, so I just sliced through the bars. I made 2-pound loaves. That's how I did it. And definitely got the homemade look using that knife because they were all different sizes. They were skinny on one end, fat on one end. They were like all different sizes. So I graduated from that to this cheese slicer. Let me show you this. And it was, it was okay, but what I didn't like about it, you can see I even marked it. This thing moved and it was too hard for me to hold the soap still while I was bringing down the wire to cut the cheese. So I was not really great. So then I thought, okay, well, I need some support for the soap while I'm cutting it. So I purchased a miter box and I drew some lines on here, which are pretty much faded right now. Some lines right there. And I used this to go through, but I like to crinkle cut too. My crinkle cutter wouldn't fit through there. But that was still not the reason that I don't like this. Even though I have a line marked, I still ended up with bars unevenly cut. And so, you know, for a long time I've been wanting to come up with a more effective way of cutting soap instead of cutting it one bar at a time, which takes so long for me. I thought, okay, I want one of those fancy soap cutters. So I looked online for one of those fancy soap cutters, and they're beautiful. They have all the strings go all the way across. They're on a hinge, and you put your loaf in and you bring the cutter down, and voila, you have cut all of your soap at the same time. And I was like, oh, I really want to have one of those. And to my dismay, they were between $200 and $300. And you know, I just am too frugal right now, at least at this point in my soaping business, to spend that much money on a soap cutter. So one night I was laying in bed and I was thinking, gosh, I should be able to make something that's just wood with wires going across it. And I came up with a model in my head, and this was born. Ta-da! There it is. So this video is teaching you how to make this soap cutting box where you can just push it down through your loaf of soap and bam, they're all cut. Make sure that you watch the end of this video for things that I would have done differently, because you know, when you make the first one, you do good, but you learn a lot of how you can improve it the second time. And I will not be making this the second time. I don't need 2 soap cutting boxes, I just need 1. But you have the opportunity to benefit from my mistakes. So watch the end of the video where I tell you how I would have improved it and how you can improve it from how I'm teaching you to do it. I love, love, love this soap cutting box. At the end of the video, I'll demonstrate me cutting bars with it, and I'm just so happy to be able to cut all those bars all at once. It just will save me so much time, and I'll enjoy soap cutting so much more. So without further ado, watch my video, and remember, I have another YouTube channel. It is going to be posted down below. I'll put the link where I have over 300 videos. I did a 1-year raw food fast when I turned 50, and I vlogged the whole year and my ups and downs through that, and that was quite a journey for me. And I continue to post health-related issues on there, so you might want to check out that channel too. So bye for now, guys, and I hope you enjoy this video. So I went to Lowe's and I got the supplies for it. I'm going to show you what I got. I purchased some hooks, okay? They were screw eyes, they're $3.45. I purchased some galvanized steel wire, and this one is .58 or 24 gauge. There you go. I purchased this 1 inch by 3 inch thick piece of wood, and that was $4.28. And then I had to purchase a saw, because if your husband is like my husband, he loses all his tools. And so this one, I'm actually gonna put my name on it. Moms do not touch, and I might not even tell him I bought it. So everything to make this, including the saw, was $32. So I have 2 molds. Well, I have like 6 molds, but 2 types of molds. One is a 10-inch loaf, and one is a 12-inch tall loaf. So I'm actually gonna make it to cut the 12-inch loaf and the 10-inch together. So I'm sure, you know, as I'm creating this and going along, I'm gonna have something in my head what I'm gonna do. I'll show you guys, but I may tweak it here and there. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do, and I'll do step by step. So bye. Okay, so bring it here, Katie. Okay, so what I did is I marked off down here. Thank you. I marked off 1 inch, and this is gonna be just something that I can grab onto. And then here's 3/4 of an inch, because even though this is a 3 by 1, it's actually 3 by 3/4. So the other side will screw in here on the back, so I marked that. And then I left just like a tiny bit, because it's gonna go over the soap, so just a little bit. And then I'm marking off 1 1/4 inches, because my bars are gonna be 1 1/4 inches. And I'm marking it, and then I'm like notching it with my brand new saw. And I'm notching it because the wires are gonna go in the notches so they won't move. So there, I have 3 notches. So basically I'm doing a notch, and I'm measuring the next one. And I haven't actually cut the length of the board yet, because, you know, I'm kind of making it as I go along. So I want to get all the wood notched for the bars, the 12 bars, and then leave where I'm going to screw the board and the lip, and then I'll cut it. So I want to, you know, I want to leave room for error. I got it all notched out for my 10-inch bar. You can see 10 inches is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars for my 10-inch. And then my 12-inch loaf, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bars for my 12-inch loaf. And then I did end up cutting it. I'm leaving this is for the board that's going to go across, and then this is just extra space on the edge just in case. I cut it off. Now I'm going to notch out this board. This is the same length as this. I just traced it. And then this is going to be 6 inches I'm going to cut out, and 6 inches, which is going to go across. Okay, so I figured the best way to do exactly was I turned the notched board around, put it up exactly against the other board, and I'm just creating like little V's to exactly where I need to notch the new board. If you can see that, putting the V in the center. Now the trick will be to not let the saw hop around when I'm cutting the notches, so that they line up perfectly with this board, so that when I put the wires through, the notches are good. Otherwise, one side of your soap is going to be thicker than the other side. So that's my plan. Let's see if it works. Okay, so I did it. I have 2 of these boards cut exactly the same with the notches. Looks like I did pretty good. I think I got them all pretty much even. Okay, so my boards are notched, like I showed you, and now I drew a straight line across the side, and I'm just drilling little starter holes, you can see there, so that I can screw these in here, because the wire is going to screw in here and then go up through here and then to the other side. So I'm going to do that to the side of both boards before I screw them together, because it would be harder to do if the box was already put together. Now I'm going to cut my 6-inch pieces, and then I'm going to screw this all together. I got all these hooks screwed in on one side. I didn't do the other side yet, but I did drill the holes to where they're gonna go in because I wanted to have a flat side. I then screwed in the 6-inch boards to here, but they weren't square, and yay, I had some of these things, what are they called? Flat corner braces. So I put flat corner braces on, and I'm screwing in the last screw over here. In between screwing in stuff, I made some soap so that I could try out my soap cutter tomorrow. So there we have it so far. It's all together. Now I have to screw them in on this side, and then I'm gonna wire it. So I'm gonna do that right now. I'll screw it in, and then I'll show you how I'm gonna wire it. Let me show you the soap I made. Happy birthday, Jesus. And I used some new colorants that I got. Here I did some men's soap, and I used some really nice fragrances, which I'll have to do a video on. Okay, so I'll get back. Okay, so when you're wrapping the wires, I've done almost all of them, and I finally figured out the way to do it. This hook is going to turn to the right to tighten. So you want to go over the right and wrap it around a few times, and then go through the hook or through the circle, and then use your pliers or whatever to kind of tighten it and wrap it around again. That way, when you need to tighten this, you just turn it like that. And if it's too hard to turn for your fingers, like my fingers are really sore right now, you can actually get a little skinny screwdriver or something and put it through there, and it'll turn really easy like I just had. Where did I just put it? Hold on, babe. Wow. Anyway, I just had a little skinny metal thing that I could have put through here, and I will have to get it because these are really loose, so I have to tighten the wires. So here, let me show you again. So it's going through the groove on the top, around and around and around to the right, and then I'm putting it through. And I'm going to use my pliers to pull on it, wrap it around and around again. And then I'm just going to snip the wire off and, you know, kind of fold it in so I don't cut my finger on that wire. And there's a couple wires I'm going to have to go back and fix, but there, see, it's all on. Now I just have to, like, oh, here's what I was going to use, this little screw. So you can just use this little screw and tighten. Look at the wires tighten up really nice. See that? Watch. See, I got the screw. Watch the wire up here. See how loose it is? I'm turning the hook to the right. And there. Tune in the guitar. And up all these. And they will loosen. You know, they're going to loosen. The wires are going to stretch. But that's why you'll be able to tighten them as they loosen up. So there, they're all nice and tight. So before I cut any soap, I'll just make sure they're all tight again. And there we have it. Ta-da. All right, I'll see you tomorrow for soap cutting. Bye. Hello everyone, it has been almost 24 hours since I made this soap. And I used really hard oils. I used grass-fed beef tallow, I used palm kernel oil, olive oil, and coconut oil. Great recipe. Maybe I'll share it with you guys someday, but I'm so anxious to use my cutter, so I'm going to cut it right now. And I'm putting it upside down because on the top there's lavender buds, and so I don't want to push the lavender buds through the soap. So the top is actually on the bottom. So I've already tightened these up. I use this, put it through, and tighten them up so they're nice and tight. And I've already actually used it once. I cut this, I made 2 loaves, and this is my second loaf that I'm going to cut. So if you can come in and look on top, Bobby. I might need to come around. Can you see down what I'm looking at? Okay, so I'm going to line this one up with the edge of the soap right here. That's actually not going to cut anything. And then I'm just going to kind of push through, like I'm rocking it. Now don't listen to what I just said about pushing it through and rocking it back and forth, because all that did was leave rocking lines on my soap. So when you're cutting your soap, you want to push it straight down, okay? So don't listen to what I just said. Really is what I'm doing. And I did notice with the other one, which I have already thought of, is putting, getting a platform to put the soap on. So when I push this, it'll actually push past the soap, because the wire didn't actually go all the way through the soap. So I'm gonna push it down with my fingers for now, but I am gonna get like a little, like these boards are 3 inches wide. Maybe I'll get one that's 5 inches wide so that I can set the soap on when I'm cutting it. And that way I can push a little bit harder and cut right down to the bottom of the soap. So I can tell you, I've already, the first one I was like, oh my goodness, so much easier than using the miter box and just kind of doing it that way. This is just so much easier, so saves so much time. Let me get this out for you and show you how pretty this soap is. There we go, look at that. Isn't that pretty? Very pretty soap. It's a man soap. I use some man fragrances. So yeah, it's all cut, and I'm just gonna put it on the drying rack. I mean, I can't tell you guys how much time this saves me doing it like this instead of one bar at a time. They're all fairly equal sizes. They're not perfect sizes, but they're closer than I've ever been before. But now, okay, if you come over here, hubby, what I wanted to show you is I have one string right here that's completely stretched out, and it did it last time too. All the other ones, you know, I'll have to tighten them again before I use them, but this one I might actually have to change the string on, because it's really, it did it with the first loaf too. It just completely wobbles. So I'm thinking maybe the hooks might need to be repositioned, because the hook might be loose. So, and it might be too loose to, and when I push the string through, it's just pulling the hook and turning it. So yeah, there you have it. Great, great, great. I'm very pleased with it. Is it perfect? No. But it is a really great tool for cutting soap. Makes it so much faster and so much easier. So I am really pleased with it. Okay, so what did you think? Is that something that you might want to tackle? So yeah, things that I would do differently making this is for sure these little ring screws or hooks. I'm still not sure what to call them. I would have used a bigger size because they would have been able to screw in deeper to the wood. I would have used the next bigger size, because every time you tighten those strings, you're screwing that hook into the wood a little bit further, so they don't go in very deep. Now this one's way down here because for some reason I wasn't able to screw it into that little hole. So I'm really glad that there was room below to make for any errors. Also, these notches that I made with the saw, I would not have used the saw to make them. Those notches, if you add up, even though they're very small, if you add up all of the notches together, they probably measure between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch, and that's why my bars are not perfectly evened out. So what I would have done is I would have used actually my bread cutting knife. I tested it and it made a perfect line, didn't take up any space, and it would have been easier to control the knife than it was the saw. So yeah, don't use the saw. Use something, first of all, experiment on a piece of wood, which I also didn't do. I should have tried it on a piece of wood to see how it was going to cut first, but I didn't think of that. The wire, I have already ordered some cheese cutting wire that I believe will be better suited for the purposes of this miter box, not miter box, this soaping box. And I'm going to replace all the wires on here with the cheese cutting wire. So that might be something else to consider. And I ordered these cheese cutting wires from cheeseandyogurtmaking.com. And there's a set of 12 of them that are 17 inches long. That I ordered for $7.79 with the shipping. It came out to be about $11. And so I did already order these. I'm going to switch out the wires on my soap cutter, and I think the cheese cutting wires would be maybe sharper, and they're meant to be stretched. So I think that this would make it better, and I really don't mind spending an extra $10 on it, because you know I'm not spending $300 on a soap cutting box. So I'm going to do that. Make sure that your wood is not warped. My wood was warped and I was not experienced enough to know to check for warped wood. So now I know. It just so happened that I had these flat squares in my house, and so if you don't know how to make a perfectly square box, which I didn't know how to make a perfectly square box, then have these handy. And this little gap here is to make up for my warped wood. I had to, see now it's sitting flat, so I had to lift this up a little bit to make up for the warp in the wood. The other thing that I might tell you to do is have somebody else make it for you. If you just don't feel like I want to make this box, I just don't, I like it, I want one, but I don't want to make it, you know, ask somebody to make it for you who has just the smallest amount of wood shopping skills. Or I'm going to put a link after this video to something that I found when I was making a candle the other day at candlescience.com, and it is a miter box, but it's a miter box made for soaping, not for woodworking. It does 1-inch bars and 2-inch bars, and it will hold a crinkle cut. It'll hold a crinkle cutter as well as a straight edge cutter, which my miter box doesn't. So this is a great option. Also, the good thing is the price is only $23.99. So this is, if you're just not ready for a soap cutting box like what I've made, I think this is probably the best option that I have seen out there. All right, guys, I hope you give me a thumbs up and you know, give it a try. Be adventurous. What have you got to lose? $20 if it doesn't turn out. A little bit of your time, but a great experience. So bye.